Hi guys, hi everyone, and welcome to my first group chat with Monica. Hi everyone over here. I have to say firstly, big thank you to all my guests that were able to join me today. And in a minute, we are going to be talking about very interesting topic because it's interesting and it's up to date. So wait for it, it's coming very soon.
Everybody wants to be happy. Everyone wants to be loved. All of us wish to be healthy. Everyone wants to enjoy life.
Art changes the world. It inspires people to stand up and speak up and support.
Right, so here we are again. Thank you so much for joining me. Right, and Angg, Matt, Helen, and Annelize were so great to join me today to share everything that we can share with you within that hour. So, guys, I'm gonna dive into it because the topic today is about present moment. People can be worrying about the past. People can be worrying about the future. Sometimes we just forget to live in that present moment. So, from my point of view, I have to say that these days I was actually pushed to stop even more because we are under a great lockdown. We can't even move out of the county, the best not out of the village even. So for me, it's kind of like going in and in and in and in. And there is definitely for me no time to think about the past or the future. So I would like to ask one of you, whoever wants to start, how are you feeling right now, right here with the situation that it is?
I'll go. I think I'm feeling quite positive. I think it comes in waves. And I think, like you said, thinking about the past or trying to think about the future can bring on lots of anxiety and worries and stress. And I think it's quite important that we live in the moment and try and make the best out of every moment we have. I think you can, if you try really hard, sometimes you have to try really hard, but you can find lots of positive, even in tough situations. So living in the moment and making the best out of this moment, I think is a really positive thing to do.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Definitely. I would say that if we keep worrying about things that had happened in the past or hasn't happened yet, we are taking pleasure away from this present moment, just like you said. And to be fair, if you can ask yourself a question as simple as, am I all right now? And if you can answer that you are, then you're all right. Because there's no point thinking what's going to happen in 5, 10 minutes, 2 days, 1 week. You haven't been there yet. And so many things can happen. So don't steal this pleasure and happiness and positivity away from yourself by thinking too much forward or too much backwards. It just always works both ways. So is it that personal choice you always make every single day? How do you want your day to be? You don't have to plan further than, the present day. Because, following day, you can make the same decision, you can set the same intention and just follow intuition. Just pick those moments, focus on the moments that are positive. And if you're going to focus on the positive, you're going to start attracting more of the positive stuff. And that way you're going to turn, you're going to really make your day much better than if you were just if you were not setting positive intentions and not looking for positive stuff, because you can always find something that is working wrong. This is mentality of majority of our society, but it's your personal choice. You can really choose how you want to feel. So I would suggest just choose feeling good.
I love that. I do love that one. Very nicely said. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I do like to look ahead. Obviously, I've got plans, but they're just like a guideline, and I like to reflect as well. So I do like to reflect back on what's worked, what hasn't worked, and kind of similar to Angg, I guess a little bit I take each day as it comes, and I'm much more self-aware of how I feel on a day-to-day basis. So I know if I'm feeling, if it's not going to be a great day, I don't give myself such a hard time about it. You know what? Tomorrow is a new day, and I know I will bounce back from that because I've got the exciting plans that I want to work towards, and I'm not worried if they don't work out either, because if they don't work out, they work out for another thing in one way or another. So and that's from reflecting back. So when I reflect back and I see where something didn't quite work out, well, actually it did. It just worked out in a different way and towards something else which was better for me, if that makes sense. So I think for me that's how I live in the present moment. But I can't say it was an easy task. It took some time, and again, it took a lot of self-awareness and me getting a little bit broken, and then being okay again and broken and okay.
It's a journey. It's not a destination.
I like how you said it, Matt, because it's exactly how life works, doesn't it? It doesn't always work out the way we want to, but it always somehow works out for us. So, Helen, what do you think?
So I'm hopeful for the future. I've got some nice plans coming up, but like you guys, I do live for the moment every day. I've learned to be a little bit more spontaneous. So I'll often just go out for a walk midday now and make the most. So kind of set in my ways anymore and too structured. I like to live by the moment and just do exciting things, which is it's quite nice to have that freedom in a way, isn't it? Just to do those things.
Yeah, very nice. And I have to say that these days, especially, people can be sort of thinking about all the things we could do and were free to do before everything started. Because it has been a long time. It's been like nearly a year when everything has been shut down, when, the country's shut down. And then obviously it affects us human beings. So looking back, I think everybody kind of pushed a little bit to reflect on the freedom we had, what we could do and we didn't do, and now we actually can't. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think, and I quite like what Matt said, because yes, we should live in the moment and the present time, but we shouldn't completely forget about the past, and we shouldn't we shouldn't not look into the future, because the past can teach us a lot. And the future we can plan, we can, put new strategies in to do better and to be better. So I think we shouldn't completely forget about the past. We shouldn't dwell on it, but we should reflect on it. So I think that's really good. We can learn quite a lot. Like you said, you look back what you didn't do. And even before the pandemic, I think this pandemic has maybe made us realize, like, family time, how important that is, and how important our health is, and how we should do things to improve our health, so that when things like the pandemic happen, we are strong and we can take it on. There's a quote that I really like, and it's something along the lines of exhale the past and inhale the future. And I really like that, and I think that's really, live in the moment, but reflect on the past and plan for the future.
Very nicely said. Very nicely said. Who wants to add something to it?
Yeah, I feel as well, it has been a tough year. And for some, I think one way or another, everyone has felt some kind of pinch, some more than others. But, and again, it's probably just building on what everyone said. But, when it is tough, that's much needed. We do need look, I like to be positive, and I love what you put out on social media, because you are just trying different things all the time, and that's so important. We want to have a positive mindset, but like when things aren't going our way, it is okay, and it shouldn't feel so hard. Oh, it's so bad because everyone looks so happy, or we can get deceived into thinking something's a certain way. But we do need those challenges. They do make us grow, and they, in terms of this year, it's, I think, hopefully for a lot of people, it's made us really appreciate the things that we have and the things that we couldn't do, you know, in the normal circumstances. So I really hope that coming out of this, and not just from a spiritual point of view, that I hope there's a mass awakening around the world. It won't be everybody, because, you know, some people will be just set in their ways, but that's okay. It's fine. I'm in a different group, so and we probably are. I think it takes, you know, if there'd be more of, you know, this deeper thinking and just accepting that, yeah, things don't always go away. I don't like to say that too much, because it sounds, you know, it may sound negative, but it's, you know what, that's all right. You're going to grow from this. I think I said this to you the other day, Ange, but, you know, like with we've been the, oh my gosh, I want to say octopus, but it's not. It's a lobster. Totally different. But lobster got to hide under the rock and, you know, soften up, and you know, the shell goes soft so it can grow, but it has to, you know, it's vulnerable when it's hiding under that rock. So, and I think we've all kind of been through that, and maybe some of us are still going through that now. I've been on a massive transition, I feel, for the last few years. So it's like now I'm awakening in a different way. Purpose, which we'll probably talk about, I'm sure, in a bit. But I feel like I've redefined my purpose, and I guess a lot of people will, and that's going to be so important going forward. If you don't know, that's okay. It's just work it out.
And I would agree more, because probably, you know, the world is really, really busy right now, as it was, especially before what happened last year. And I think people were very set in their ways. Some of them were actually asking for a change, but there was never enough time to make a change. They were just like a hamsters on the wheel. And then obviously pandemic happened, and we all had to stop. And we had the greatest opportunity to actually rethink what we want to do and find new strengths and new skills that we never thought we had. Like, you know, adapting to a new environment, changing the way we run our system or our business, or, for example, change the direction. So I think, you know, if you can only look at it from that perspective, you will see that even though it was really bad, you came out on the other side. And you have so many more tools that you can use. You can choose which direction you want to go and how you want to do it. So I think that's a positive.
Definitely.
I like that. I like the way you said it. It's very nice. It's because there are so many opportunities in everything that's happening whenever, you know. But I also like what Matt said, and that was appreciation. Because I think now people have to think about the appreciation that we had, you know, what we have, what we had, and where do we go from here, from today, you know, not from yesterday or the day before, but from today. So, you know, it again brings all of us to this present moment, and all of us are actually working with the flow, because, you know, we are all on the same page. So what we have, what is happening, we are taking and using it to our advantage. Why would we worry about the future that hasn't happened yet? We can plan for it. And why would we get our brains stuck in the past where there's nothing to change anymore? So, you know, I think it's quite important for people to realize that the decision for today, how they live, what they do, and how they're going to do it, it's really up to them.
100%. But then you have to take this ownership for your life, you know, for what had happened, you know, in order to let some things go. Because if you don't own it, if you're going to be avoiding it, it will always be following you for the rest of your life. So if you can make a peace with it, then you're going to be able to make that step forward and grow. And like Matt said, you know, we are all lobsters. So we are growing, and the only challenge makes us grow, because if you're going to stay in the same shell, and we might be thinking, we might compare shell to mindset, then we're never going to expand, and we're never going to be anything else besides what's inside of that shell, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And the world will change anyway. Things will change around you, whether we like it or not.
Always.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Progress is optional.
Yeah.
It's very true. The world is very much changing. Does anyone else want to say something about it? Helen, have you got any take on it?
I think personally I've found out a lot more about myself and family and friends around me. And I've really learned who, the important connections are in my life, and maybe the people who weren't sort of supporting me, and the person I used to be as well probably wasn't supporting the person I want to be today. So I suppose the real test is, once this is all over, will people just go back to their old habits, or will they sustain this new person? And I hope people will take these new habits with them, and that is the test, I think.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. And I like what we've mentioned here is that we learn and that we are never the same, because I don't think anyone's the same. We are just kind of like being blind about what's been happening. And that's what keeps us stuck. That's what keeps us sort of worrying about the past or worrying about the future, but never really living in the present moment. So let's have a look at those people that are really affected by their past and, are struggling to let go. What would you guys say to them? How they can really slowly work on it to let go of what doesn't serve them and free themselves up?
I would probably say you have to start from learning how to appreciate yourself, because we are all unique, There is not another Monika like you in the world, no matter.
And I'm Matt, and Helen, and I'm Annelize.
Everybody has something very unique, so we don't have to compare ourselves and put that pressure on ourselves, because that's what society tends to do, or we think that what society expects from us. It's the kind of thing. And if we can just sometimes stop and say to ourselves, you know what? I've been through so much, and I got to this point right now, and I'm still standing. I think I'm gonna be fine, because there's so many different obstacles which you can't plan. They are just sometimes take you by surprise. If you can take a step back and just look at it and think, look, this is just an obstacle. That's what life is about. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna take a step back and I'm gonna rethink my strategy and I'm gonna move forward. And if you will take that step back, then you will have a better vision as well. Sometimes you will have a broader view of the situation, and you will realize, oh, okay, I understand why this happened. And if you look at it from a perspective of time, sometimes you understand that, you know what, I didn't get what that was about, but now I get it.
Yeah.
And then you also understand that, nothing is permanent. Everything is a temporary thing. It's just a moment. And the less you dwell on it, then the less you feel it. Obviously you want to live those positive moments for as often as long as possible. But if something is negative, it's just a moment, and you decide if you want to allow it to affect you or not.
Yeah, I think, life is a journey. It's not a destination, it's a journey. So we all want to get to that place where we're going to be happy and we've got enough money and we've got the perfect job and we've got the perfect life. That's unrealistic. Life is a journey. There's going to be perfect moments, and there's going to be heartache, and there's going to be pain, and there's going to be joy, and there's going to be all these things. And it's just knowing, like Angg just said, those negative moments, those heartaches, those hard things we face, it's just a moment. It's just a part of life, and it will pass. And I think the important thing to get through those moments is, for me, what really works is looking at inspirational stories. So looking at what other people have been through and hit rock bottom and then came out at the top. I think listening to those kind of people and reading their stories and finding out about people like that can be extremely helpful, because we can see, oh, okay, even if this or that happens to you, you can still be okay. I think that can really help. Finding purpose, I think that's really, really important. And, counseling, if it's something really hard that you face, I think talking about it is really key, definitely. Accepting that, you know, those emotions you feel are okay, because I think we live in a society where we, especially children, are taught not to cry. Stop your crying, don't cry, do not show your emotions, especially boys. You know, it's very common still, even in this day. We know how harmful it is. We know that the suicide rate for men is so high because men are taught that they're not allowed to show their emotions. Okay, so showing your emotions is okay, feeling those emotions is okay. It's when you go into that dark place and stay there that it can be unhealthy and dangerous. So yes, feel and acknowledge the emotions, but then talk about it, get it out, you know, and move on from it. And I think getting help and finding something, for me, and I know for most people, exercise is a really good way because of those happy hormones that gets released. And feeling physically strong and healthier can really affect our mood. So if you're eating a very unhealthy diet and you aren't very active, it will bring your mood down even more. So even if you're going through something hard, if you can just find something that you enjoy, like running or exercise class, and just looking after yourself in a healthy way, it will make a big difference. And it will take time, but the minute you get those happy hormones hitting you, it becomes like, oh, I like that feeling. So you keep doing it. And yeah, that can really, really help you get through those really tough times, I think.
And I think that I wouldn't agree more, because I'm big on fitness, you know, physical activity myself. And I remember there was someone saying this, that there is no stress that could last longer than 5 miles run, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you go out and you really get this energy out, because it's not only any energy, I mean, not a positive, negative, any energy, you're just gonna get it out from your system. So you're gonna be kind of like,
yes,
you're able to catch this breath back and then start thinking again. You know, you'll get this oxygen flowing in your body, and automatically your mind will be clear. So the situation which previously was just like terrifying, horrible, and just kill me now, just reduced its, you know, intensity. So definitely physical activity, diet. And another thing, you see, when you move and you focus on improving your life by preparing yourself and your family healthy meals, you decide to take your family or go on your own for a walk, you're taking time to organize yourself in order to be proactive. You're not sitting on the sofa and you're thinking what is not working, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
And that also helps.
And I think it's also, people don't realize this. Yes, you know, exercise builds physical strength, but it also builds mental resilience, because when you are doing a really tough workout, and let's say you're trying to get to 50 burpees. Burpees are horrible. We all hate them. But let's say you are trying to do 50 burpees back to back. You're thinking to yourself, you get to 10, you go, I can't do this. I can't do this. So there's a lot of mental talk going on in your head. And then you get further and further. And then suddenly you change and you go, I can do this. I did it, you know, and then that feeling of achievement. And really it can mentally, you can even, if you do a workout on your own and you have no music or anything, the head talk that goes in inside you can actually push you to the point where you can cry and you can let go of frustration and you can really just feel that relief afterwards. And you think through that workout, I can't do this, and then you do it. And yes, at the end you go, I did it. And that can really change your mentality about life as well, because you're building those sort of connections in your brain. I think that's really important that people sometimes don't know or realize.
But I'm glad there are so many people that are promoting so many different ways of helping others to release the stress and teach them how to manage it, because there's so many different techniques. There's plenty of people who can't do any type of a rigorous type of training for many reasons, like heart condition, etc. But if they can make that decision that today I am going for a walk and today I'm going to do 2 miles and maybe following day I'm going to do 2.5. By making this decision and building this healthy habit, they will also build resilience and they will get stronger. So
yeah, it's even through meditation, you know, because meditation, most people, if you've never done meditation and you suddenly starting it, it's hard. You think, how can I make my mind stop thinking? How can I? And that's not actually even the idea, you know. So yeah, I totally agree. There's so many different methods, and you just have to find something that works for you. But yeah, even something like meditation can really build mental resilience and help with your mental health as well.
100%.
I like that we are kind of tapping into sort of like the thinking where we are in it and it's not good for us. We are in that bubble and we are staying there. And exactly what you were saying, it's like if you don't move from there, nothing's going to change. But there are many ways how you can actually clear that mindset, make a move, whatever move it is, and it will help you to change that thinking, to change that mindset, to move from it, you know, to feel differently. And I like what you said, because there are millions of options. I.e., starting from when you have a problem, where do you go? On YouTube, you type in how to help headache, or how to, you know, get over depression or something. There are tons of videos that have been made for it. And I think that first step of trying to find help for something that we admitted to ourselves, it's a very important step, you know. And obviously moving our physical body moves our mental thinking. So that is the way of kind of, yeah, I'll do something about it, rather than I'm going to sit here and wait because nothing's going to happen then. I think Helen wanted to say something there.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, this morning I was feeling very frustrated, very emotional. So I took that negative frustration energy and I just went for a run. I was physically exhausted. I didn't want to continue. But then suddenly, when I got halfway, I had this newfound positivity and like a burst of energy. And then I started like zigzagging around like the bollards in Cheltenham, and I was smiling and I was happy, and people on the street were like waving and laughing, and I was just like, so I turned that frustration, that negativity into something so like positive and so much energy. So you can turn it around as well, which is really important.
Yeah,
very nice. Yeah. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I echo everything that's been said, and and I guess it depending where anyone who's watching, where you are, how you're feeling at the moment, just cut the things is really, everything that's been said is so important, and you got to find your way. And sometimes I think people can get a little bit overwhelmed. Oh, I got to do my diets then, I got to do get a podcast on. So I think just take your time. 1% of something is better than no 4%.
Yeah.
And that 1% is going to make a massive difference. It might, like some people can jump straight into it. You've got to know you. You've got to know, right, well, I can make that change and I'll be fine. I'll stick to it. Or maybe just implement one thing. I got to be quiet because my son's in the next room, but I've been working on a few behavioral things with him. But we chose, like, what's the one thing we want to work on? So it's bedtime. So we've been focused on that. Hasn't meant everything's great everywhere else, but that's brought a lot more balance and structure. So, and again, I think it's having a routine. Start with one thing, have a routine for it, and let it develop into a habit, and it soon will become a habit for you. And I feel as well, obviously, depending on what is keeping someone stuck, I definitely agree. Get a good support network around you. If it's something that's quite severe, make sure you get the help. Definitely talking about that. I think it was mentioned just now, about men's mental health, and there was a time where I wasn't talking to anyone. It's gone back about 6 or so years, and it was just a horrible dark time. And I almost felt like a fraud, because I was teaching martial arts, was doing so much personal development then, and that, I think the mindset is important alongside with your physical health. So even if it's just getting out for a walk, a great time for me is to put some headphones in, and actually I'll probably subconsciously meditate. And you can have meditation music on. Me, I personally, I like to listen to a podcast, get my learning brain up, even if I'm thinking about something else. Someone said to me that keep that in because something will go in. And actually, I zone out for a little bit on what someone said. Clubhouse is great now if you can get on Clubhouse because if you don't have to interact, but you can get some really high, quality, high level stuff. That information is going in. So I evaluated my circle. I felt a long time ago maybe trying to please everybody, and even I'd probably say you can't please everybody, but I was still and even now I got to pinch myself and no, stop. That's my time. This is my. So I pick and choose now, and if it well, this is time for my children or it's time for this. So I evaluate what will I get from that, and is it worth my time even? So there's a few things there. But I just wanted to touch on someone I interviewed not so long back. It's probably worth you getting on your show, Monica. He's one of the members at Cheltenham Martial Arts. His name's Charlie Morehouse. He has Asperger's. And I learned something just from him where he talked about his Asperger's. And he said, you know what? It's a part of me. And I think sometimes, like for me, I know where, I'm not saying I'm the depressed person, but I know now my mood can go like this. And I've accepted, that's a part of me now. Something's changed in my life and it's a part of me. And now I can regulate that much better. I can, I don't care. I'm going to chill out today. I'm going to relax. And then I've got that same determination to do I'm supposed to be doing 3,000 burpee jumps this month. So at least I had to do 100 this morning. But it was, it was have that feeling come back of, oh my God, I can't swear. I swear.
We need to do a challenge, guys, all of us. For everyone, for the entertainment of everyone. I like that.
Yeah, I think you said about accepting that it's a part of you. I think that is key because someone else said it's not until you recognize that you can do something about it. And I think that is so important. Once we accept and we notice and we recognize that something's happening here, we can then do something about it. It's like someone, who's depressed. Until you acknowledge it and go for help, it can't change. Someone who's got an addiction, until you recognize that and get help, nothing's going to change. And it becomes a vicious cycle. I think shame is a very, very big problem. When we feel shame, we don't change because shame is really hard because regret, we feel bad about it. And we can say sorry and we can move on. But when we feel shame, we don't feel bad. We think we are bad. And then that's hard. So we need to get past the shame. Forget it, we've all done things that's not right or that's not been good for us or for other people. And once we can accept that, again, acceptance, then we can move past it. But yeah, I think shame is the biggest hurdle. With anything, if you feel depressed, shame, because it's not good to be depressed. You're going to be shamed for it. Feeling sad or heartbroken or angry, you're going to be shamed because you shouldn't feel those feelings. So yeah, I think that's a big thing that people just need to accept, recognize, and then move on from.
Yeah, this is the main emotion behind all of the addictions, because people are trying to cover up and just fill the void so they don't have to look at it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
I like that we are digging deeper and deeper, and I will tell you what I feel from everything that we are just sort of saying here and sharing with everyone. I think there is a massive truth of going in and discovering our real self.
Yeah.
It's part of the acceptance of who I am right now, right here, with everything that has happened in the past. It's happening, and whatever happens in the future. It's really, I love this life journey where everything leads us towards discovering who we really are.
Yeah. And I think it's important to know that when you say about who we are, you have to remember all the things that happen to you doesn't define you. You still choose who you want to be in the future. Everything can change. Anything. You can grow. You can change. You can be a completely different person, because all the things that happened in our life, especially as children, love to all our parents, but there's a really good book, and I'm not going to say the title, but How Our Parents Messed Us Up. And it's true, you know, because our parents, we as parents, we still all learning, you know, so we are going to make mistakes along the way. Our parents make mistakes, and that kind of molds us into people. So people, you said about addiction, people with addiction, if you look back at not everyone that has been through trauma becomes addicts, yeah. But every person with an addiction went through trauma. So you know, those things can sort of mold us and make things happen to us and make us become addicts. However, it doesn't define us, because there are some people who went through the same trauma, but with the correct mindset and correct help and changing their ways, didn't go down that route. So there's hope for every single person on this planet. What happened to us doesn't define us. We can still choose what and who we want to be.
100%. And if we actually tap into spirituality, I don't know what's your point of view of that, what I'm going to say now, but what if we're choosing our life path before we came, with all of the obstacles? So saying that life would not happen and coming out as it would happen for us. So all of the lessons that we would experience were there just to help us grow. And when it comes to people with addictions, there's lots of people who went through it and then they stepped away from it. And now they are great teachers for those who are going through the same thing. So I think there is no one to blame, or no one who hasn't got a worth. Everybody has something to offer. Those who've been in a situation like that came out on the other side just by changing their mindset, and they were strong enough and bright enough to follow the right instructions, you know, the things that were resonating with them. And they had to be people who had to go down to find the strength so they could build their, you know, fundamentals, so they could, you know, just really build themselves up and just come back again and just live their life. So everything happens for a reason, and has its value and purpose, but just we need to allow ourselves to see it that way.
Yeah. I think there's a nice quote, I don't know who said it, about the students wants to become a teacher or teachers, because it is exactly that, you know, we are learning our whole life, and some of us are here on this planet to learn and then to teach. So I think it's such a beautiful thing to recognize that whatever you learn that helped you, and you know it can help others, don't hold it in, just share it, you know, just as we do, you know, even if it's a friend, even if it's someone, just share your story, your journey, and you never know when it's going to change someone else's life and perhaps save their life.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Anyone else wants to add something to it? Because this is quite an interesting topic, actually. I like what Angg mentioned, like, what if we all came to this world knowing what the journey will be like? You know, I think all of us will agree that we know there is purpose for all of us. That's why we are here, exactly in this kind of group, you know. And although sometimes it feels bloody tough, we're going to admit it, Angg.
Yeah.
Then it is worth it, because all of us are much stronger people because of those challenging times we've gone through.
I think freedom of choice plays a big part, because and whichever religion you believe, but you know, we were given freedom of choice, you know, so we choose what we want to do. And the I shouldn't say problem with that, but kind of it is that if someone makes a wrong or a bad choice because they haven't learned yet, or you know, they're battling something, they forget that what they choose could affect other people. So that, sadly, that's just part of life. You know, sometimes heartache will happen to us because someone else made, you know, a choice that affected us. So I find it quite hard to believe every single thing happens for a reason. I think some things just happens because maybe someone else made a choice, and if you had a say in it, that wouldn't have happened to you. But I think good can come from everything that has happened to you, or lessons can be learned from everything that happened to you. So for me, that's quite a tough one, because I can honestly say that I think some things happen for a reason, but I don't think everything does. I think some things happen just because other people made choices that affected you.
I think.
Sorry, Monika. I do appreciate your opinion, and I love, just hearing someone having different perspective. But for example, when I think in my mind, everything happens for a reason, it puts my mind at ease.
Yes.
And sometimes I'm not looking for the reason for it, but it just makes me feel better for thinking like that. So whether it's right or it's wrong, as long as it's working, I do believe it's worth.
But that's what I'm saying, I think everything that happens, there's something good can come from it. So even like the bad things, even the heartaches, you can still learn from it, you can still grow from it, and good things can come out of it. I don't think everything's been, I don't know, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because we all that's what's so great, we all have different perspectives on it. But I do believe no matter what happens to you, it can be an opportunity to grow and learn.
I am just quickly, give me 1 minute. I'm 100% sure that everything that happens makes us who we are today. Okay, go on.
I feel this. I feel there's probably a lot around the law of attraction. So whatever you're putting out, whether you're thinking it, whether you're asking an angel, or whether you're just writing it down in this is how I'm going to do it, or you're asking the universe, but whatever it is, it does have a knock-on effect. Right? It could be woo, 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 or this, or it could just be, oh no, but that's what I focused on. And I think it's a combination, personally for me, it's a combination of both. I like to feel I'm in control, but also I'm not afraid to just, speak it out. And again, I think it always comes down to what is working for you. It's interesting. I think I might end up changing the subject here, but it being around, I've changed, I've joined up a couple of different mastermind programs, and I feel like the new kid in school. I feel like I'm back to school, and when everyone's taller than you, and
it's exciting.
Yeah, I'm getting so much from that, and for me personally, again, what I think that social group, or that the people are like, we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So whatever 5 people we're spending the most in our life, we're just going to be the average of them. It makes sense for me to, find not different, and doesn't mean I kick out anyone else. It's just I need to grow. A need for me is to grow, and but also part of me, going back to maybe what Angg said, is I felt a lot, maybe in my younger years, something wasn't right, but I had to go on this. So whether I was destined for this, maybe, but I had to. I think I was. I think this was me. This had to happen. But for this to happen, first of all, some other things had to happen. I had to kind of wake up from whatever, because I'm not from this planet. Greetings, Earthlings. How are you? So that's how I felt. And I would never have said that out loud before, but I don't care now. It's me. I've just seen 44 clocks, so that's good. Happy days. So I like a combination. That's me.
You found your balance. Great. Helen, do you have something to say today?
So what I found hardest is making choices. So quite recently, making my own choices, because I'm scared that I'm gonna choose the wrong path. So I've grew up with this like kind of safety net around me, family and friends protecting me, and I have my own safety net, and I think that can be a really negative thing, because you start to feel trapped and you start to feel frustrated. So by allowing you to give yourself choice and freedom, enabling yourself to grow, you take away that safety net, which is very, very scary. But you've got to have this kind of feeling of a little bit of fear in your life, and I think that's where I've been going wrong. I've had this safety net, leading this conventional life. So I want to step away from that safety net and actually push forward and be my own person. But it's really hard. People care for you. They want to protect you. They want to keep you safe. And as parents, you want to keep your children safe. It's like, you know, when they're learning to cycle, you want to be there by their side. But actually, always being by their side stops them from growing and developing. And that's a very sad thing, you know?
Very true.
I think sometimes I heard, I think it was Tony Robbins talked about this, that when we do want to make a change, and I'm not saying this is that, but subconsciously people around us are a bit fearful of you making that change.
Yes.
They fear that you're gonna, you know, certainly you're not going to be a part of their life anymore. And most people, yeah, and others can start to, you know, kind of hold you back a little bit. An old mentor of mine told me a story. I'll share it, and it was about a bucket of crabs. I got a thing about lobsters and anything from the sea, it would seem. But basically, there was a bucket of crabs, and he was walking with his mentor, and his mentor said, "Those crabs will never get out of that bucket. They will never escape the bucket, and they don't need to put a lid on it because they're all self-policing. So as soon as one tries to climb out, the others like pull it back down. Tries to climb out again, and they just pull it back down. So just be aware that we probably all have crabs in our life."
We will be, don't worry.
I've heard that as well, and I think it's really true. And it's if they don't do it purposely, they don't want to hold you back. It's not because they don't love you and they don't care about you. But it's like, it's the same with someone who wants to lose weight, you know. If other people around them isn't ready to do that and to live a healthier lifestyle, that caring friend or mother or sister will offer you that piece of cake, even though they know you're trying to change things. And they don't do it purposely. It's not because they don't want to be the only ones that's a little bit overweight or a little bit unhealthy. It's just, it's nice to be surrounded by people that's on the same page as you. So I think the minute when someone then tries to turn the page and you're not ready to turn the page, you're like, no, hold on, let's not turn the page yet. Let's eat cake together. Let's have cake together. And I think that's what it is, you know. So yeah, spot on. I like the story about the crabs. I'm going to use that.
But what they're basically saying is, I am not ready.
Yeah.
It's not about them, but they're saying, I'm not ready. Yeah, that's very nice. Guys, I have an interesting question for you. It just came to me. I hope you're excited because I am. So, I want all of you to think of one major event in your life that changed your life, that made you really make a massive change, massive turn in your mindset, and you started living differently. I love these questions.
I think we talked about this last week, Monica, when you interviewed me. So it's funny because I feel like I've had loads. So and they've all bounced onto other ones. So if I was
the biggest one that really shook your life, and you were like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
And you couldn't continue the same way, you know.
So, well, really, for me, I would say when I was in Australia, I think about just over 20 years ago, and I came across, I think I said it last week, but I was in Byron Bay, and there was a hippie there. He used to be, I don't know, some sort of nuclear engineer, but he'd given it all up in the 60s to go and live in Byron Bay and continue being a hippie up till the 90s. And he said something like, the best job you can have is your hobby. And that really stuck with me. But I can't say my life changed from then, but it stuck with me. And it was enough then to knock me a little bit later on to make some other great decisions of, now this is what I'm doing. This is it. And when I say that's it, this is what I'm doing, that's really it. So I quit my engineering job to, you know, get into teach martial arts. But there's been other, you know, a lot of different training moments where I've redefined my purpose and what I want to do. And no way, if you go back I'd love to go back. I wish you could just go back and just say it to yourself sometimes, just to see the look on your face and go, no, I wouldn't be doing it.
When you were not ready to listen, or you just heard it and it wasn't right there. Yeah. Okay,
for me, there's two things. One, which sort of, it was the very first time I stood up for myself and spoke up when I was 16. And someone treated me really badly, and I stood up to them for the first time in my life. And I said, no more. I'm 16 now. You can't treat me like this anymore. And speaking up like that made me realize I have power to stop people from trying to have power over me. So that was a big realization. But I would say the biggest thing that completely flipped my life around, and I don't go into detail with this because it's not just my story to tell, and this is what leads me to someone else's actions affected and changed mine and my children's life completely. And it was like someone took the jar with our life in it, shook it vigorously, turned it upside down, returned it to the shelf and says, now you sort it. And that was the biggest thing in my life, because it's still to this day, 7 years on, affect us in little ways that you won't imagine. And it's whether you allow it to. And sometimes you can't help it, because it's a bit like those crabs trying to grab hold of your leg and drag you back, because they've seen you succeeding and they know what happened, and they go, you can't, and they try and pull you back. And sometimes for a moment, that's realizing, okay, it's okay to let that moment upset you, because that was part of your life. That did happen to you. And yes, it was awful. So be sad, but then show them and just kick butt. And yes, for a while, I was in a really dark place, because losing everything, no one likes that, and suddenly being faced with all these challenges in life and being scared and upset and hurt, and how can someone do this to you, and how can you be betrayed like this, and how can you trust people? And so many emotions came up with that. But I think we talked about this in our interview. A friend came over, and I was in such a place that my bedroom curtains was permanently closed. I had boxes up against the window to darken out the room, because that was my dark place. My room was my dark place. And my friend came in and she opened the curtains and she took the boxes out and she said, make me a promise that you will open these curtains every day and let the light in. And that was very symbolical for me, letting the light into my life. And that's what changed my life, I think. It's that moment, opening those curtains, joining an exercise group and finding something for me that was for me, that made me feel good. And that's what changed my life.
Very nice. Okay, who's next?
Goosebumps.
I've had it all the way through our chat, so don't worry, guys, it's all flowing. Right, who's next, Angg or Helen?
Helen, do you want to go?
Okay, so I'd say more recently with the Free Peaks Challenge. So as you're probably all aware, I started my fitness journey just over a year today. So I met Matt and I started doing kickboxing. I joined the gym and then I started looking. And then I made this really strange decision to do the Free Peaks Challenge. So go up like the 3 highest mountains in 3 days. My physical fitness was at all-time low. So I had to do a lot of training. But it was just that moment when I was at the top of the mountain, nothing else mattered in the world. And I have a little phrase I say now, and I say, trolls don't climb mountains, because you get trolls on Facebook. You know those ones on your Facebook pages. But when you're at the top of Ben Nevis, where are the trolls now? They're definitely not there. And a couple of my friends and family said they were worried about me, and again they cast that safety net. But I did it, and I've never looked back. Since then, my fitness and my mental health well-being has improved day by day, and I'm setting myself new challenges now, and I find it incredibly exciting.
Wow, that's amazing.
Very nice. And go ahead.
Wow. To be fair, I had quite a few moments like that in my life, starting in my childhood until just like a few years back. But I think one of the most important moments was when I decided to choose myself and appreciate myself for who I am and allow myself to not to feel any type of guilt or shame for who I am, because that was the main reason why I developed bulimia, and I struggled with that for so many years. And the moment I decided that this is it, I'm choosing myself now, it was the moment when I freed myself from it. And there was many elements of like self-development, working on myself, that helped me to make that step forward when I understood that we are so much more than this physical body, you know, and that once you start tapping into your soul, to your mindset, and you can start rearranging things in place, you start looking at yourself completely different, and then you get to understand that you have not done anything wrong. And one of those things was meditation. When I started listening to myself, and I realized that, you know what, I am a good person, you know. I've been helping so many people around, you know, and I've achieved so many things in my life, despite what I was doing to myself. I think it's time for me to be good to myself because I deserve it. And I think that was one of the biggest moment in my life, I think. So.
Very nice. Okay, really good, guys. You managed. Hey, I think it's my turn now. So when I was thinking about that question, you know, obviously everything that we said, everything that we shared kind of led me towards asking that question. And when I was thinking about me, that one moment really came to me, and that was when I actually discovered that I can't change decisions and choices of other people. I have to say it was someone very close that I wanted to go and help and throw my life into the, you know, bin. And when I tried that, you know, of course you go because you see what they're doing wrong and that it doesn't suit them because they're ending up in hospital twice a week, and you just can't watch it from that distance, and you're ready to forget everything and go. And then when I remember that day probably when I was thinking about it, and I went in and I said, but that's her choices. That's the way she thinks. I can't change that unless she wants to. And from that day, when I actually came, I went and got help myself. And because of that other person, I freed up myself completely from everyone else. And I never lived a life that I would please others, or I would try to sort of like push them to do something that's better for them. That just does not work because we are here for ourselves only. Yeah, so that was a big moment for me. And I think that everything that we shared, I don't know how about you guys, but I've had goosebumps all the way through. And I think there were quite deep stories and deep insights that people can use to help themselves to really live in the present moment, to accept who they are, to appreciate that moment, everything they have and everyone they have around them. Because who's been watching us, we became part of their life. The people that will be watching this will never be the same because they will get deeper understanding of how life works. You know, and this is exactly the journey that we were talking about all the way through. And that's to this present moment right here, right now, with everything that we shared and with everything that they can hear, taking it in and discovering our own purpose in this world. So I think I'm going to leave it at that because there is no more to say. I want to say a massive, huge thank you to all of you for joining me today. It was absolutely amazing. You shared your experiences and everything. And I cannot be more grateful for having met all of you and actually reconnecting with you, because that's also what's part of this journey, to reconnect with the people and then grow together and help others to grow.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Monika.
Thank you,
Monika.
guys. I love you all. Okay, I'll be in touch. And for everyone that watched us, leave us some comments, ask questions, and trust us. We know what it's like to worry about the past. We know what it's like to hurry into the future. But everything that's happening is right now, right here. Amen. See you guys. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Take care.
Bye.